In every research study, we need a guide that shows how the different parts of the research are connected. This is called the research framework. It serves us as a blueprint or map that explains how the variables, concept, and theories in the study are related to each other. The framework helps the researchers stay focused, organize their ideas, and clearly show the directions of the study. By using a research framework, we can better explain why this study is important, how it will be carried out, and what the result we expected to find. Good morning, future nurses. Our topic for today is all about research framework. These are the table of contents. We have your research framework, characteristic, purposes, and developing a theory. Testing a theory, and last one, evaluating a theory. Let's proceed to the first one, research framework. Research framework is like a blueprint that guides and organizes study. It explains how the variables are connected, such as independent variable, which is the cause, the dependent variable, that is the effect, and sometimes other variables like moderator or intervening variables that influence the relationship. A framework can be presented in two ways. We have your theoretical framework, which is based on existing theory or models that supports and explain the study, and the conceptual framework, which is usually shown in the diagram with explanation that illustrate how the variables in the specific study are expected to relate in each other. So, in short, the research framework help our researchers and readers clearly see the study's directions and logical flow. Now let's proceed to the theoretical framework. It's a part of the research that gives a study a strong foundations by connecting it to the existing theories or models developed by other scholars. It explains why the variables in your study are related and provides a scholarly explanations or justification for your research. So by using a theoretical framework, the researcher shows that the study is not just based on personal opinion, but is guided by established knowledge. In short, it gives your research directions, credibility, and a solid basis for understanding the problem. Theory. A theory comes from the Greek word theoria, which means a beholding spectacle or speculations. Theories are speculative in nature, meaning they are ideas or explanations that help us understand certain phenomena, but they are never considered absolute truth or fully proven. So in research, theory is a very important because it serves as the foundation of the study, helping to explain how and why variables are related. It ensures that the study is connected to the existing knowledge rather than just analysis and interpretation. So in short, theory gives research both directions and credibility. These are the nursing theories. So, for example, we have your Florence Nightingale environmental theory because health affected by environment like the clean air, water, light, and proper sanitations promote healing. We have Virginia Henderson's, that is the need theory. Nursing helps people do things they would do for themselves if they had the strength, will, or knowledge. We have your Pay Glenn Abdella, which is the 21 nursing problems theory. That is, nursing focuses on solving patients' problem to meet physical, emotional, and social needs. We have Dorothea Orem, self-care deficit nursing theory. Nurses care for patients when they cannot care for themselves. Sister Calista Roy, adoption model. People adapt to changes in health and environment. Nursing help copes and adjusts. We have Betty Newman, the system model. Patients are open system affected by stressor. Nurses help maintain balance and stability. We have Martha Rogers, science of unitary human beings. Humans are energy fields in the constant interactions with the environment. We have Imogen King, theory of goal attainment. Nursing is the successful when nurses and patients set and achieve health goals together. We have Hildegard Peplau, interpersonal relation theory. Nursing is a therapeutic relationship between the nurse and patients that promotes growth and healing. We have your Madeline Leninger, that is transcultural nursing theory. That is what they call that one, the culture care theory. Caring must consider the patient's cultural beliefs, values, and practices. We have Jean Watson, the theory of human caring, that is nursing built on human-to-human caring, compassion, and holistic healing. We have Ernestine Wiedenbach, that is helping art clinical nursing theory. Nursing is about helping patients meet their needs through skillful, purposeful actions. We have Ida Jean Orlando, nursing process theory, that is deliberative nursing. Nursing action should be based on the patient immediate needs, not on the routines. We have your Myra Estrin Levine, conservation model. Nursing conserve patients' energy, structural integrity, personal integrity, and social integrity. And last one, we have Josephine Patterson and Loretta Zidegarad. Nursing, humanistic nursing theory. Nursing is a caring relationship that values the uniqueness and dignity of each person. These nursing theory are some example that can be helpful to doing your research in the theoretical framework. So, marami pa po tayong pwedeng kunin at marami pa po tayong mga nursing theories na pwede pong i-align doon sa ating theoretical framework. Next one, let's proceed to the characteristic of theory. Okay, there are characteristic of theory. A theory is built upon set of concepts which serve as the fundamental ideas or building blocks that help explain phenomena. Alongside concept, a theory also consists of propositions, which are statements that show the relationship between this concept. To make theories understandable, they are often presented through conceptual paradigms and models which visually or systematically organize the concept and propositions. Unlike natural discoveries, theories are purposely created and formulated by scholars and researchers to provide structured explanation for observed realities. However, theories are tentative and subject to change, meaning they are not absolute truths but rather flexible frameworks that can evolve. As new evidence emerge or when previous explanations are challenged, theory development occurs, leading to refinement, modifications, or replacement for older theories. Finally, theory is integral to research because it provides the foundation for generating the hypothesis, guiding inquiry, interpreting findings, and building knowledge systematically. Let's start with the one. We have it consists of set of concept because concept is a building block of a theory because it represents an idea, object, or event that help us understand and explain the reality. Concept may be concrete, so it can be tangible and directly observable such as bed, nurse, or blood pressure, or abstract, that is intangible ideas that cannot be directly seen such as love, care, or anxiety. And some are enumerative concept which can be counted or listed, like the number of patients in a ward. Other are associative concept which shows connections between ideas like link between the diet and health. We have your relational concept expresses how one idea is related to another, such as the effect of exercise and stress. You have your statistical concept are those measured or described using numbers like mean age or percentage of recovery. And lastly, you have your summative concept that is represent a combination or total of several variables like quality of life or overall health status. Let's start with the concrete concepts. So these are concepts that are tangible, physical, and directly observable. So they can be seen, touched, measured, or quantified with tools. Since they are objective, they are often easier to study in research. So example, as you can see on the screen, we have your nurse Leo. That is a specific person who can be physically observed. Your body temperature measured using a thermometer. We have your blood pressure that is measured in millimeter or of mercury. And then we have your number of sleeping hours that is directly counted and recorded. And then we have your weight that is measured with a weighing scale. Another one, we have your abstract concept. These are the intangible ideas or qualities that cannot be directly seen, touched, or measured with physical tools. Instead, they are felt, experienced, or assessed indirectly using scales, questionnaires, or observations. So they are more subjective than concrete concepts, but equally important in nursing and research since they are deal with human feelings, perceptions, and experiences. So as you can see on the example below, we have your stress that is measured using the stress scale or questionnaire. Anxiety that is identified through psychological tools or patient self-reports. We have your self-esteem that is assessed using standardized self-esteem inventories. We have your caring that is observed through nurse-patient interactions. And then we have your patient satisfaction that is measured through surveys or feedback forms. Okay, we have your enumerative concept. These are universal characteristic of phenomena that are always present in every individual, regardless of culture, background, or conditions. So they are measurable and constant feature that exist in all people. Example, we have your age. Diba? Every person has an age that is measured in years. Height, that is every individual has a measurable height. We have your weight, universally present and measurable. And then your sex, which is male or female, that is also called dichotomous variable. And then we have your vital signs like temperature, pulse, and respirations present in all humans. And then we have your associative concept. So these are the concepts that exist only in some cases or instances that are not common to all individuals. So they usually describe conditions, state, or circumstances that vary from person to person. Example, we have your income. So not everyone has income and the level varies. Disease, present in only in some individuals. Example, the hypertension or diabetes. Anxiety that is experienced differently. Not all people have it in the same times. And then pregnancy, applicable only to some women at certain times. Disability, not universal but present in a certain individuals. Next, we have your relational concept. In relational concept are characteristic or phenomena that can only be understood when they are connected with two or more concepts such as enumerative or associative one. So they do not stand alone but gain meaning when examined in relation to others. For example, being a child or elderly can only understood when linked with age, developmental tasks, or longevity. In nursing, relational concepts are used when studying how age relates to coping skill or how family support influences the recovery of elderly patients. In its statistical concept, refer to the quantitative properties of phenomena expressed in terms of measurement, frequency, or distributions within a populations. So they are essential for analyzing health trends and patterns that guide nursing practice and public health policies. For instance, the incidence of dengue infection in the community, the prevalence of hypertension among adults, or the average length of hospital stay for pneumonia patients are statistical concepts. So these data help our nurses and researchers identify the risk factor, prioritize the interventions, and evaluate the outcomes. And then we have your summative concept. Summative concepts are broad, global, and complex embodiments of phenomena that integrates different dimensions into a unified whole. They are not limited to single measurable element, but instead capture the entirety of an experience or condition. So in nursing, example include nursing care, the health illness continuum, and the needs and problems of man. For example, nursing care in a summative concept because it includes not just physical interventions, but also emotional support, patient education, and holistic well-being. So these concepts serve as guiding principle in nursing practice and research, emphasizing the comprehensive nature of the healthcare. Now let's proceed to the concept making process. We have your conceptualization. Conceptualization is the first step where researchers form basic ideas, design, or strategies based on the available facts. In this process of clarifying what they want to study and how they will define key terms or concept. For example, if the research is about stress, the researcher needs to conceptualize what stress means in the context of the study, whether it refers to emotional strain, physical response, or both. Second one, we have your facts. Facts are objective pieces of information gathered from observations, records, or evidences. In the concept-making process, facts are analyzed to interpret meaning and to establish a relationship among concepts in the study. For instance, that the fact that students who sleep less than 5 hours have lower test score. So provide a basis for connecting the concept of sleep durations and academic performances. And then we have your third one, the construct. A construct is an abstract idea that researcher wants to study but cannot be directly observed or measured. Instead, constructs are assessed using indicators, scales, or tools. Examples include intelligence, anxiety, or self-esteem. This cannot be directly seen but can be measured through questionnaire, performance tests, or psychological scale. Fourth one, we have your conceptual framework. The conceptual framework represents the relationship of the study variables, showing how the independent, dependent, and sometimes moderator or intervening variables are connected. It can be written in narrative form or presented visually in diagram. For example, a framework that might show the study habits, influence academic performance, and the relationship could be affected by socioeconomic status. And last one, we have your theoretical framework. The theoretical framework is built on established theories or derivable theories relevant to the study. It provides the scholarly foundations and justification for why variables are related. For example, if the research is about self-care in patients with diabetes, it may use Dorothea Orem's self-care nursing theory as the theoretical framework to explain the connections between the self-care practices and the health outcomes. Okay, let's proceed to the number two. The theory also consists of propositions. A theory is more than just a collection of concepts. It also includes propositions that explain how those concepts are related. Concepts are the basic building blocks of a theory. These are the ideas or phenomenon under the study, such as stress, coping, or health. However, concepts alone are not enough. To form a theory, proposition must be included. A proposition is a clear statement that links two or more concepts together, showing their relationship. For example, the propositions increase stress level to decrease academic performance. Connect the concept of stress and performance. So when concepts are systematically organized and tied together by propositions, they form a theory. A structured explanations of how and why phenomena occurs. We have your theory is presented by conceptual paradigm and conceptual models. A conceptual paradigm is a visual presentations or representations, usually in the form of diagram or a model, that shows the structures and relationship of the parts of the theory or study. So it helps simplify complex ideas by illustrating how variables or concepts are connected, making it easier to understand the flow of the research. So as you can see, there are a diagram on your screen regarding the nurse client. So there is a nurse client in terms of perceptions and communications. So we can identify there the dependent variable, and then we have your independent variable. So this diagram provides a clear big picture of what the researcher wants to study and how the variables interact. So it is often used in the conceptual framework of research to guide the design, analysis, and interpretations of the findings. Next, we proceed to the theories presented by conceptual paradigm and conceptual model through meta-paradigm. Because meta-paradigm is the highest and most abstract level of knowledge in nursing, representing in the broad global concept that define the discipline. It serves as the umbrella framework under which all nursing theories are built. The meta-paradigm in nursing consists of four main concepts: the person, which is the individual, family, or community receiving care; And then we have your environment, which is the internal and external surroundings affecting the person's health. We have your third one, the health, the overall well-being and the quality of life of the person. And lastly, the nursing. The nursing, that is the actions, role, and responsibilities of the nurse in promoting care. So together, this concept provides a comprehensive perspective of what nursing is and guide nurses in practice, research, and educations. Next one, we have your model. Model is a simplified, symbolic representations of a phenomena that uses words, diagrams, or symbol to express complex in ideas in a way that is easy to understand. So in research or in nursing and research, models help explain relationship among concept and guide practice or studies by providing a clear picture of how things work. There are two main types of model. We have your conceptual models. These are broad, abstract representations that shows how different concepts are connected. So they give a general overview of the framework without going into much details. Example, here we have OREM self-care model, which shows how patients can take care of themselves and when nurses need to intervene. And then we have your theoretical models. These are more specific and derived from theories. They explain, predict, or describe a phenomenon on a detailed way based on the existing theories. Example, Peplau's interpersonal relation model, which explain nurse-patients interactions. Okay. The fourth one, theories are purposely created and formulated, not discovered. Theories are not discovered like natural elements. Instead, they are purposely created and formulated by researcher and scholars. So this means theories are the result of human effort to explain, organize, and give meaning to the different phenomena. Theory building is a creative and intellectual process that involves observing the events, identifying the patterns, connecting the concepts, and proposing the explanations. Anyone with enough knowledge, experience, and imaginations in their field can develop a theory. So for example, Florence Nightingale used her observation and experiences during the Crimean War to create environmental theory, which explain how factors like ventilation, cleanliness, and light affect patients' recovery. In short, theories are man-made frameworks built to deepen understanding and guide the practice. Tip 1. Theories are tentative and subject to change. Theories are tentative and subject to change, meaning they are not fixed or absolute truths. Knowledge is always evolving because new research continuously provides deeper explanations of variables or phenomena. As researchers study a concept more closely, they are discover new evidence that either support, modifies, or even disprove an existing theory. For example, early theories of disease focus only about air, so that is miasma theory. But later, research led to germs theory, which greatly expanded medical knowledge. So in nursing, ongoing studies on patient care, health behavior, or interventions can lead to the refinement of old theories or the creations of new ones. So this process ensures that theories grow, adapt, and remain relevant to the current practice and knowledge. Okay, the sixth one, the theory development occurs if new evidence or observations undermine previously accepted theory. When this occurs, researchers and nurses build new theories to better explain the phenomena. So these new theories strengthen the nursing knowledge base and allows nurses to connect fresh observations and empirical data into more organized and systematic process of reasoning. As the result, knowledge become more powerful tool for gathering the facts, analyzing them, and drawing meaningful conclusions that improves understanding and practice. For example, as a nursing research expanded beyond just physical care to include psychological, social, and cultural factors, new theories like Linenger transcultural nursing theory were developed to explain care in a broader, more holistic way. This show how theory developed is a continuous process that ensures nursing remains responsive and evidence-based. Next one we have theory is integral to research. because it serves as the foundations that guides the entire study. A jury help explain the basis of the problem, allowing the researcher to design the study properly and choose the right tools for data collection and measurement. Without jury, research may lack directions and purpose. At the same time, the result of research do not just answer the problem, but also contribute to the refinement or development of new theories. So these new theories can then be used as a basis for future studies, creating a continuous cycle of knowledge building. For example, in nursing theories or in nursing, ORM self-care deficit theory provides a framework for studying how patients manage their own health, and research finding using this theory can further improve or expand it for future applications. Next, proceed to the purposes of the theories. Okay. The purpose of theory in nursing and research is to provide a strong foundation for knowledge and practice. Theories help summarize what is already known, allowing researchers and nurses to build an existing understanding rather than starting from scratch. So they also set the foundation of nursing practice, guiding how nurses assess, plan, and deliver care. So theory serves to explain and interpret observations, giving meaning to what is seen in practice, and they also help predict and control outcomes such as how certain interventions may affect the patient's health. Most importantly, theories stimulate curiosity and discovery, encouraging researchers to explore new ideas and expand nursing knowledge. So in this way, theories act as a both guide and bridge between knowledge, research, and practice. Next, how to do the developing a theory. So these are the steps in theory development. Begin with the researcher selecting an observed phenomena in a nursing situations and identifying the variables involved. Next, the researcher carefully analyzes the phenomena and begins to formulate hypotheses using the concept, assumptions, and propositions to explain what is happening. And after that, the researcher integrates this concept and assumption into broader explanations or general idea that connects the variables and relationship. Finally, through this process, new knowledge emerge and new theories are developed or existing ones are reconstructed based on the concept and variables observed. So these cycles ensures that the theory is always grounded in practice and evidence, making it useful for guiding nursing research, educations, and care. Next one, testing a theory. So these are the steps in testing the theory. The step in testing theories start with the researcher choosing a theory of interest and identifying a specific proposition from the theory to the test. Next, the researcher formulates hypotheses or inference that are measurable and clearly reflect the propositions being studied. After this, the researcher conducts the study, gathering the data from the observed phenomena and analyze the finding based on the hypothesis. Finally, the researcher determines the implication of the findings for theory validations, refinement, or future application in nursing practice. So this process ensures that theory remain evidence-based, useful, and adaptable to real-world nursing situations. Next, we have your evaluating a theory. Okay. Evaluating theory is the process of checking whether a theory is useful, applicable, and appropriate for a study. The goal is to determine if the theory truly deserves its purpose and contributes to the research or practice. The evaluation is done using the internal and external criteria. Pag sinabi natin internal criteria, look how well the parts of the theory fit together. This means checking if the concept, proposition, and assumption are clear, consistent, logical, and not contradictory. If the components align smoothly, the theory is considered strong internally. For example, semantic and structural clarity. How clear is the theory? Semantic and structural simplicity. How simple is the theory? Generalizability. How broad is the theory? Empirical precisions. How accessible is the theory? Derivable consequences. How important is the theory? And complexity and parsimony, how accurate is the theory? So yan yung mga pwede nating tanungin in terms of the internal criteria. And then let's proceed to the external criteria. Kasi sabi ko nga kanina, the evaluating or the purpose of evaluating the theory is to determine if it's fulfilled its intended role in guiding the research, practice, and knowledge development in nursing. It is useful and applicability are judged based on the internal and external criteria. Diba, nasabi ko na kanina, internal criteria focuses on how the component of theory fit together. So this involved examining clarity, consistency, logical structure, whether the concepts, assumptions, and proposition are aligned or non-contradictory. A theory with strong internal consistency is considered coherent and reliable. While in external theory, focuses mga anak on how the theory relates to the real world, particularly in terms of nursing practice. So it examines whether the theory can be applied to the people, health, environment, and nursing professions. A theory with strong external applicability is practical, relevant, and useful in improving patient care and advancing nursing knowledge. So, kung makikita nyo, ito yung mga tanong sa external criteria. Adequacy, how adequate is the theory? Utility, how useful? Significance, how broad? Discrimination, how practical is the theory? And scope, how specific is the theory? In short, mga anak, a theory must not only logically sound, which is internal, but also practical relevant, that is external. Okay? Okay. For your activity, please take time to read each item carefully and write your answer on your short coupon band, handwritten. Separate it. One coupon for conceptual framework and one coupon for theoretical framework. And submit it to me on Monday, September 15. So, as you can see, already flashed on your screen, andyan na po yung instruction. Your task in conceptual framework activity is draw a conceptual diagram showing how study habit affects the academic performance with or without mediators. And then in your theoretical framework activity, select one only theory and explain it and describe how it support the studies. Okay, so that's your activities and to be paused on Monday. Okay? So, in summary mga anak, the research framework serve as the backbone of this study by providing both conceptual and theoretical foundations that guides the investigations. The conceptual framework illustrates the relationship among the study variables, while the theoretical framework anchors the research in established principles, offering a deeper understanding of the phenomena under the study. Together, this framework ensures that the research is systematically structured, scientifically sound, and aligned with nursing practice, thereby contributing to the generation of knowledge and advancement of discipline. So, thank you for listening for our research framework. So, these are the research instructor for Nursing Research 1, and thank you and have a good day.